double interesting to come visit them. So Niklas from SaKE10 will not spend any time wasted. So go ahead.
Sayduck, I'm one of the co-founders and responsible of business development as well. So I'm much into sales and marketing, a little bit less into the deep technology that we have been discussing today, but I certainly, can explain a lot about that as well. So I thought that we could kick off with a short video actually made by one of our customers in Australia. It's Domain. They have 18 stores in Australia, and it should sort of give you a good understanding what we are all about.
With the new Domain Live app, we've made it easy to visualize how Domain products will suit your home. Our new augmented reality app lets you virtually preview selected Domain furniture at any angle. So to discover a new way to shop with Domain, head to your app store on your smartphone or tablet and download the Domain Live app today. It's free.
So this was actually on national TV in Australia. They have put quite much behind the marketing, and that's of course really good for us. And this is fundamentally what we are trying to solve. This is not a murder scene. This is actually somebody trying to figure out how a certain object would look in their home, and apparently this is one way to do it. What we are doing is that we are superimposing a 3D object in real time into the camera feed, and sort of trying to help these guys out to get a better understanding of what the product would look like at home. So we like to talk about that we bring products to life, and we speak less about augmented reality because it's quite technical, but we'll talk more about that soon. So the problem fundamentally is that on the inspirational side, a lot of consumers spend a lot of time finding. So they do 14 Google searches, they spend weeks looking at on the web, online, to try to find what they're looking for. And then again, on the imagination side, they sort of really need to go and visit these physical stores because still in a pure online context it's pretty hard in some cases to get a good understanding of the product. So we're seeing a lot of shopping cart abandonments, especially in the furniture segment. So what we at Sayduck try to do is that we try to provide both inspiration and imagination to the end user eventually, via our customers. And quickly about the company, we're founded in 2012. Today we're 10 full-time employees. We have 5, in addition 5 commission guys, so we're a team of about 15. We have office in Helsinki and London. And yeah, I mean, last year was sort of our first commercial year, and basically we have done quite many apps to different kind of customers, mostly in the furniture vertical, but also in other verticals. And our offering basically consists of 2 products. So it's the branded apps, that's sort of an app for anybody really who wants to have a own look and feel, and then the Sayduck app is sort of an entry-level product into the world of AR. We're working with some really nice customers. Of course, I hope that I could add Sanoma into this list as well very soon. But on the media side, we're working with IPC Media in the UK. Now it's called Time Warner, or Time Inc. Hearst in the US, and SPH in Singapore. And also retailers like Made.com and many different kinds of brands. And we have received some good press as well. Most recently we won the best use of augmented reality at the MoMA Awards, and I think that's really great. But then on the other hand, I'm thinking, like, what does it really mean, like best AR, because the AR landscape is getting really complex. As you see, there are a lot of agencies, a lot of different kinds of apps, browsers, hardware, Google Glass of course, but Epson producing stuff as well. Not to mention the whole VR space which is coming. It's lagging a bit behind, but I think within the next 12 months we will see some really nice things. And of course you have the platform, the SDKs. So already I think the AR landscape is sort of getting quite crowded, and even still it's in the very beginning. We don't really have, I mean, nobody of these companies have really succeeded big time. So, but of course I hope that will change. And I would position Sayduck currently sort of in between the app and agency world. When we sell brand apps to customers, we sort of act as an agency, and then we have also ambitions to provide more like our own apps. So what we hear many times is that when we talk, especially on the field to retailers and brands, that they say your AR looks really, really nice and real. And I guess this is an example of sort of a virtual object in the front and then the real Eames launcher in the back. And of course our goal is to sort of make it really realistic and indistinguishable. And we think that that's the way how we can eventually help consumers to make that informed buying decision. Looking a bit at the architecture. So underneath, we call it the Sayduck platform. It's basically a content distribution platform. So every product we visualize its 3D model, of course. A 3D model consists of textures, of course. And this platform is sort of serving the content to the Sayduck app, but also to all our apps that we have made. And this platform makes it in fact scalable, the whole business. Making one AR app is not that difficult, but doing AR in a scalable way, that's something we learned during the last 2 years. Of course, we're looking into APIs, we're looking into self-serving concepts. Our platform is still closed basically, but we have an interest to open it up definitely over time. So looking a bit sort of at the anatomy of an app. So we talked about the 3D models, but one typical element in AR is also what we call a marker. And a marker is basically any kind of print surface. For example, this magazine, something we did with Finnish design shop. So this surface is sort of an via the app to the 3D model, and we need it because this will give the object the right size in real life. And in one way it's a burden for us, because of course today when somebody downloads the app they want to have an instant experience, and well, we're getting there. Soon we'll have markerless things, and meanwhile we're doing sort of what we call dynamic marker. So basically you can take a photo of anything and define that as your marker. But speaking here at Sanoma, it sort of tends to speak a bit more about this print surface that is in one way becoming obsolete, but in another way it still has a lot of potential. So what we've done, for example, with Linné Rosé in the Financial Times is that when you scan the ad with the Sayduck app, you see that sofa in your home. And for example, in this magazine and something we've done with Living Etc. and well, now Mondadori in Italy. So this is something that sort of seems to resonate with publishing houses, media houses. And this is something we definitely want to develop further and see how far this thing goes. This is actually a screenshot from the app. So as you see in the background, there are some shoe pictures. That's the marker, and then we are overlaying on top the virtual product, and we think it's definitely adding something to the experience. A bit more tech stuff, looking at the 3D models. So those who are interested, we try to optimize them to 125,000 polygon trees. Means that they're quite detailed, but not too detailed. In the future, we start combining models as devices become have more processing power. And right now we're dealing with baked shaders, baked textures. So the next stage for us is to move towards something we call live shaders, basically more realistic surfaces reacting to lights and providing a sort of more real experience. And especially if you think about materials as glass and metals, a big part of that is sort of the reflection, and by doing dynamic materials we can again simulate those materials more realistically. Of course, we support the most 3D formats, and if you think about the furniture industry, a lot of companies, especially in Europe, have some kind of 3D representation of their products. But then again, for example, in the US, quite many companies don't have any kind of 3D models, so we need to produce them. And that's one thing of our business we've been developing for 2 years. So it's our content production pipeline, what we like to call it. And it's basically the process of taking anything you can see, turning it out to a 3D model without burning hundreds and hundreds of euros in the process. So in fact, we have managed to make that process really efficient, cost efficient, and fast, and our current throughput is about 1,000 objects per month. And of course, this is something that's increasing. So we're using basically two different kinds of techniques. One is still traditional hand modeling, so we would take maybe 5, 8 images of the products from different angles and have a person modeling it by hand. But the other technique is called photogrammetry. So that's basically taking, let's say, 40 or 50 pictures of a product and putting them into a computer, and then you have the computer to build the model out of that. And of course, that's the future. Today it's working quite well, especially for products like shoes, which are sort of fairly small in size. But I think that is something that we really will see a lot happening quite soon. Of course, one part of our business is also integrating into customer supply systems, logistics systems, e-commerce systems. So we have done different kinds of integrations there. And some of our apps we have up to almost 2 systems in the app. So then it makes sense to do these kinds of integration. And how we build our apps currently, they are basically done out of a framework, so we can push them out quite efficiently. Of course, this means that the sort of basic layout is quite basic, so we're not allowing a lot of customization unless the customer wants to pay for that. So we can be really efficient and have sort of fairly quick turnaround times as well. So we can build an app in 4 weeks, and yeah, that's not a problem. And as you see, currently we do iOS and Android. So looking a bit sort of backwards, we've been doing this now for 2 years, 2.5 years, and we've been trying many kinds of things. And I think these 3 segments, furniture, fashion, media, those are clearly the ones that stand out and what we clearly learned is that fashion is very complicated. I mean, on the positive side, it's you have you know, a lot of different kinds of products that are changing fast, and that would basically allow us to make a lot of 3D models. But that's also a bit of a problem, and in this case, this woman is holding a virtual handbag, and at some point we thought that's probably an excellent use case, but we have 0 customers in that segment, in the handbag segment. But then again, we have in the shoe segments, we've been working with Adidas, ASICS, Onitsuka, Lotto. So these companies clearly see something in this technology as well. But clearly the furniture is the most interesting, I think. And now we are getting some results as well. This has been very painful to actually understand sort of your service. It might surprise you, but we have invested a lot of time and effort and resources into this. And in the case of bathrooms.com, which is one of our first customers, we're seeing double conversion rates for customers who get exposed to Sayduck. And we also see a 25% uplift in basket value. So that's pretty convincing. Also, in the case of Vitra, they launched a black Eames lawn chair, and they did basically print ads and use Sayduck to bring the product to life, and they engagement figures there. So they thought about it as more as a marketing thing, and of course, adding Sayduck to a sort of traditional print ad, it gives it a whole new meaning, and also you can measure it really well. So that's one part of it as well. Yep, that was Sayduck quite short and efficiently. I would be happy to answer any questions. Please.
Have you thought about going bigger and visualizing architecture?
Yes, we are in fact doing it. So we're working with a really nice architectural company, and they are actually using our app to pitch projects to their customers. But putting that object into a real life, to the actual space where it's supposed to be, it's still a bit difficult. So we're sort of in the architectural space. Typically these companies, they do a master plan, so it's like a layout, and on top of that we can sort of bring that third dimension, and it translates into a quite nice experience. So it's an interesting space as well, the architecture, definitely.
Can you really do the depth thing that was in the demo, where the girl was standing behind the couch, or was that just the commercial? So can you estimate the depth of objects within the image?
No, the couch thing. So the virtual object will always be, on the front.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's
you can't be in
easy
front.
bit behind the couch, but it's difficult to be in front of the couch. But of course, that's again sort of product development and looking forward.
Yeah.
Like how can you blend these things together? So I think still this is sort of still very much limited by technology and sort of dictated by the technology. It's still not very easy to use, but that's sort of one of our goals, to try to make it sort of a must for everybody.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Tomas, final question.
Just an interesting thought that your daily bread and butter is 3D, and you never know what kind of new devices will be available soon. So I wouldn't rely solely on the processing power of the handset, but all kind of helmets are coming, and glasses,
Sure.
and so on and so forth, and that will open up a major stream for you. So by the time when your technology and backend refined, the display devices get there. So
Yes, I do.
they starts to burn more money.
Yes, that's something we've been doing frequently as well, trying to fundraise, and that's another story. But Yeah, I do agree with you with the devices. I mean, it's really interesting. Still, I think we try to address a mass market. So we address the iPhones and the Androids, not all the Androids because it's so fragmented, but let's say the Samsungs and the best-selling devices. And if we can make it work initially with these devices, then eventually you have all of the headsets, all of that coming. And fundamentally, we're dealing with the same assets, 3D assets. So it's more about just taking that 3D asset and putting it somewhere else. So, but I think we're sort of waiting for that mainstreamness in these tables. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think all the men are grateful that you're designing an app like this, because typically after redecorating the house with your wife, it always looks like a murder scene anyway.
One way this app is to show that your idea is great and your wife
Okay. And on that bombshell, it's time to end. Thank you very much for attending here in Budapest. Yeah, well. Next time in Budapest, that will be good. That will be great. I love Budapest. I have to say that. Thank you for visiting here in Finland, and thank you for watching from Amsterdam, Bangalore, and Budapest. Next one is in Hoofddorp in December somewhere. So until then, goodbye.